For our second story here, I wanted to cover this, although it's not necessarily what we might call a larger story, but I wanted to cover it just because I caught the headlines. I looked at the headlines and I'm like, that doesn't sound right. And it seems to turn out that many of the headlines were trying to probably in some ways smear Proton, maybe because it's not one of the big tech companies. But from Forbes, I wanted to cover the Forbes one because they actually changed their headline. They probably got called out on it somewhere. And it says, new Proton research exposes 300 million stolen credentials. Now, when I first saw this article, and I saw it the day it came out, which was November 2nd, the title on it was Proton exposes 300 million credentials. They left out the word stolen, and they left out the word research. And it almost sounded like that. In fact, I even the story was interesting enough, and I even reposted it on Twitter or X or whatever you're calling it this week. And this particular article was community noted by saying, yeah, Proton did not have a data breach, which it did not. So just in the event you are thinking Proton had a data breach, they did not. This one was another one. Proton data breach exposes 300 million credentials on dark web markets. Oh my God, stop using Proton Mail. Use Google instead. Yeah, no. Proton did not have any form of data breach. All right, but some of those early articles seem to suggest they did. I don't know if they were just incompetent or if they were trying to smear Proton because Proton is a big privacy advocate. I'm not sure what the case happened to be, but Forbes eventually did edit their title. I did go into the Wayback Machine, and unfortunately the original title was not archived there. It could have been archived in some of the other places. I didn't check all those other ones. But anyway, what is this doing? Of course, here updated November 1st with further analysis of how leaked stolen passwords are abused using genuine accounts in light of Proton exposure of 300 million credentials on the dark web market. This literally sounds like Proton Mail is like, hey, we have a giant database of all this stolen stuff. Come take it. This article is so biased against Proton. It's really funny. But here's effectively what Proton's doing. Proton created a database that is very much like Have I Been Pwned. It is effectively an alternative to how Have I Been Pwned. Now, I went on to Have I Been Pwned to find out how they categorize their data, and they actually have an FAQ about what is the breach data and where did it come from, and they answered what is the breach data, and the FAQ from Have I Been Pwned did not say where it came from. Proton is explicitly saying, yeah, we are hanging out on those dark market forums where people sell this stuff, and we might even buy the data with our own money just so that we can see what has been collected. And the reason they're doing this is because I think Have I Been Pwned more often collects it information. I think they are also getting it from the dark web, but I'm not sure if they're getting it as fast, or they could be getting it at the same time. It could be a direct competitor utilizing the same methods. I'm not 100% sure on where Have I Been Pwned gets their data from. But the point is that companies have data breaches, and oftentimes they do not want to disclose the data breaches. They hold it off as long as they can by law. They do whatever they can to stop information about the data breach. In some instances, Power School is still effectively like, oh, what data breach? You got to pull teeth to get them to admit it, which is why the person that was actually ultimately sent to jail for this, they still haven't officially confirmed this was the case. So it's kind of weird. But what they're doing, since they're not waiting for the companies to announce the data breach, Proton is going onto the dark web markets to see what data is available and where it came from. And they're assembling their data, what they call their data breach observatory. So let's look at the Forbes article first. Swiss internet-based company outfit Proton has confirmed it has uncovered a total of 300 million credentials, with passwords appearing in 49% of them using a dark web data breach observatory tool. Ultimately 300 million individual records exposed on the web by Proton Mail. Okay, this is not Proton exposed used all of this information that you can see it. That it is effectively the same thing as have I been pwned. You can go in there, you can see the lists of data breaches. I'm not sure you can't go in and search for your particular address. Like have I been pwned, you can search for your particular address. So it's a little bit different in that respect, but it might give a little bit more analytics instead of being focused on, is my email involved in a data breach? I think Protons is more focused on what data was leaked out of individual bid companies, if you wanted to make a distinction between the two services. So the Proton Data Breach Observatory provides consumers and businesses with previously unobtainable transparency, Proton said, by drawing data from the criminals themselves. Now, there is an argument about if they're paying for this data, they are potentially empowering the criminals to keep stealing more, because they don't care what the intention is of the person who bought the data. They're criminals. They just want their money. The Cyber Press article has a little bit more detail. Proton is directly monitoring underground cyber criminal forums to identify and report data leaks in real time. That is something that is fairly unique here, is that they are effectively, as soon as data comes up available, Proton adds it to their database. Company's recent findings paint a concerning picture of the current threat landscape. Major corporations across multiple industries falling victim to sophisticated cyber attacks affecting telecommunications giants, giant financial institutions, technology companies, and transportation services spanning multiple continents. And so looking at what they're doing, this is actually the blog post about it. So only the biggest breaches make the news, which is true. Most go unnoticed, concealing the scale of ongoing cyber attacks. To empower business leaders with real-time intelligence, we're launching the world's first data breach observatory. This free public-facing hub will show exactly where the data is leaking onto the web, shining light on the state of global cybersecurity and helping organizations understand emerging risks. And so the actual observatory down here, you can actually see the latest one. So this one's October 11th. So only over a month ago. Has there been no data breaches in the last month? That was Qantas Airlines. 11.8 million records, compromised name, birth dates, physical addresses, phone numbers, and email addresses. We have Allianz Life. We have Tricillo. We have Intersport France. Free. They freely gave up all your data. Look at that. Now, to actually get more information, you would to hit the download full list. Will take you to a page, and you actually have to give them some information to download it. So there you can actually get this, which will probably consent you to this. I'm not sure if this is required or not, but you'll get that. So maybe it's just a way for Proton to collect more information, but regardless, that's what they are getting at. Now, why is this kind of important? There are a lot of big data breaches that we're not hearing a lot about, including, this is a neat one here, pieing in on the flock cameras, which, by the way, may or may not be somewhat related to our short story. Lawmakers say stolen police logins are exposing flock surveillance cameras to hackers. So police they're just sharing their logins willy-nilly. In fact, in one instance, one government agency, which was not supposed to have access, was just handed their credentials by a buddy who's a police officer. So now that guy can go ahead and search up people without actually having any oversight to it. And there's actually forums on the dark web where you can buy flock logins. And wouldn't you know it, unlike all of their talking to these city councils going, you only can see information related to your account. It's a bunch of BS because they actually say in here and in their marketing, by the way, their general marketing, search these things everywhere. See where all that person goes. Or in the words of that one unscrupulous police officer that needs to have his badge taken away from him and he needs to rot in a jail cell or something. You cannot move in our town. You cannot breathe in our town without us knowing it. Yeah, that's 1984, you moron. This is still United States. Go read your Constitution and give me your badge. All right. But over here, lawmakers have called on flock for failing to have MFA, effectively. They're failing to implement cybersecurity protection to expose camera networks to hackers and spies. So Ron Wyden and whoever this person is, they actually are asking Flock to enable multi-factor authentication for everybody. Company says that that does not require it, which the company confirmed in October. However, they said after all the scrutiny that all new accounts require it. Now, it's not clear why they have not required it on all current accounts yet, but they haven't. But all new accounts require MFA. Will that go far enough? I don't know. I mean, a cop could still set up MFA with a couple different YubiKeys and still pass those YubiKeys to their buddies. There's MFA for you. But with these logins that are online or given to by their buddies, they can gain access to law enforcement only areas of Flock website and search the billions of Americans' photos collected by taxpayer funded cameras all across the country. Doesn't sound like it's just global, local stuff that your cameras do. Sounds like the people at Flock are lying in front of city council meetings, and if that's not a crime, it probably should be. I don't know. Flock's cameras can scan the license plates of passing vehicles, so police and federal agents with logins to Flock's platform can search billions of captured photos and track where vehicles have traveled at any given point in time. The lawmakers said that they have found evidence that some of Flock's law enforcement customers' logins had been previously stolen and shared online. So now hackers can do it. Russian cybercrime forums allegedly selling access to Flock logins, and Flock shared the company's response letter to from its chief legal officer, Dan Haley, in which he says the company switched on MFA by default for all new customers. And this is funny here. I'm not sure if TechCrunch is the one with the error here or if 404 Media is one of the error here. But it says the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration has used local police officers' passwords to access Flock's cameras to search for individuals suspected of an immigration violation. Just trying to capture that SEO. The DEA doesn't have a lot to do with immigration enforcement. I think you mean ICE, but that is neither here nor there. Somebody made a mistake. I'm not sure if it was TechCrunch or 404 Media. And then, of course, if that's not enough data breaches for you, EY, this is a massive global national accounting firm. They had a 4 terabyte SQL backup of their entire database, unencrypted, on a Microsoft Azure platform. Hope you're not using EY to do your taxes because everything is there. Unencrypted, everything. Absolutely everything. And these are the reasons why Proton is doing what it is doing. They have created this observatory so they can track these types of things because these are all very serious cases. And as we're looking at all these very serious cases, we have to keep in mind that there are problems with all of this data being out there in the world. And ultimately, we have to take a lot of stronger stands to protect our data. I think the first thing we need to do is question why all this data needs to be on the internet. Question why all this data needs to be collected. Obviously, a tax firm probably needs more data than, your babysitter does. But that being said, it does not necessitate it all being available on the internet. There's no earthly reason a 4 terabyte SQL unencrypted database of a tax firm needs to be on the internet anywhere. All right, leave it to the local offices, do offline type stuff, because I got news for you. The European arm of EY does not need access to my U.S. taxpayer information. There's a thought too. So there's a lot of things that we could be doing about these, but I don't know. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below.